Yeah, guys. So, this is the aftermath. Here's my cleaning bucket. Um, After my bike build, or now bikes, um, but I started out with these Suntour XCT30s. Um, that came with my Ozark Trail Ridge um, a couple years back. I just remember I bought it the year that the Ozark Trail Ridge came out, the first one. Don't ask why I have stitchy nails here, but I needed them. Don't ask why I have extremely large cotton, because I needed them. What else is here that you can ask? It's pretty much it. Oh yeah, this too. Why I have that. But I'll get to that. So, the idea behind it was I'd never serviced forks like these before. I've never serviced any sort of forks on a mountain bike before. I serviced these, I had these forks serviced like 2 years almost after I bought the bike, and that was roughly 2 years ago. And yeah, but I don't know if the service wasn't done too well or what, because I don't know. But maybe I was riding more aggressive, and so they just kind of wore out faster. I'm not sure. But I know they're everybody's favorite forks, and this is their go-to. Yeah, okay. But I hadn't had any issues with them other than I took them in to have them serviced, and then they lasted about 2 years, and then all of a sudden they became clunkers. They just, if you could see, like right in, I can't see it, but there's like, I don't know if I could get you guys to see it, but like right in here, you can see the shift in the aluminum. Just like up in here, you can see a different lighting, way it's lit up different and stuff. And like right in here, you can see rigid lines. And it's like, I don't know, they look like they used a bunch of pillars to round them. I don't know, it's weird. But it just seemed like they're getting ready to not do so well. But I wanted to learn how to service them now that I have the time. And I don't know, but I felt like if I serviced them and there was something I came across and it would have put my bike out of commission, I wouldn't have been able to ride. So I was like, I'm going to buy new forks for the bike. So I searched around. I was looking at videos on YouTube, and thanks again to Seth at Burn Peak, Wolftick Nation, Deerhead Shed, and a couple other people on their Ozark Trail Ridge journey. Without you guys, coming from someone when they were younger, used to race BMX, freestyle BMX, rode mountain bikes, and then I took like a 10 or 12 year time off from it, and now I'm getting back into it, but I gained weight in that 10 to 12 years. So that's why I bought the Ozark Trail Ridge originally, was to help with weight and use it as a tool for that. But how am I going to use it as a tool if I service these and there's something wrong that's going to delay it longer and I can't get it done that day? You know what I mean? So I held off on these, and then I bought these. Bought the Marzucci Z1 Bombers. They're air forks, and they got 170 millimeter of travel, and they're also 29 and 27.5 compatible. I'll get into the tires and the rest of the bike later, but right now I'm talking about these. Right now I'm just waiting for the crown race to come in. Once that comes in, then it's ready to go. But I started thinking, why would I buy these? And these were $289 at Jensen USA. The original price is like $700 and something, and plus they fit the front hub that came with the bike, which I also got to service the rotors and the calipers because to get more of the freewheel. But I was sitting there thinking, like, why would I put these on a bike that I ride 3 to 4 times a week to work for my exercise, and then it sits outside for 8 hours? So $700 and something pair of forks. I go, and plus at the time the bike had these Bond Traggers on. They're the Beeline Pros. They come like on a $12,000 bike. They came with the stem, and I got it for like $100 off of Facebook Marketplace. And I'm like, between the 2 forks without the price I paid is like $1,000. I was like, there's no way I'm going to let it sit outside for 8 hours and not expect that it gets jacked. And it might have not have happened today or tomorrow, next month or next year, but it's just the thought that it could still happen. And so then I had to reroute my strategy. I was like, I got the Ozark Trail Ridge. I could buy the Ozark Trail M2 Pro, take the parts off of it, because basically it's still department store stuff, and put on the Ozark Trail Ridge and build kind of my dream bike here. And so here we go. But I'm going to take you over to the Ozark Trail Ridge, the original one, the OG, and show you what went down with it. Alright, so here's my solution. And then I have something in my back, in a thought, that I'll let you guys know here in a second. So here's the forks that came with the M2 Pro. They fit like a glove on this bike here. But the weight of them is the same weight, roughly. It's just less than a pound. These weigh less than a pound less than the spring-loaded forks that originally came with that I showed you. The spring-loaded forks are 100 millimeter travel. These are 120. And I'll explain to you why I didn't do the RockShox Recons. I just didn't want to do what everyone else was doing. So, but this bike, I feel, should have been, if you were going to change the name from the Ozark Trail Ridge to the Ozark Trail, or the Ozark Trail Ridge M2, I feel like this is where it should have been. The air forks that you put on the Pro, the original rims would have been okay. Should have did 180 on the front and 180 on the rear. Use these Maxxis tires. These tires seem to be okay so far. I'll get into what's on here as far as rims and rotors go. It's kind of a fiasco, something I had to figure out. The bars that came on the M2 Pro are significantly different than what were on the original M2. The shorter stem. The Tektro hydraulic, these are the Shimano, but the Tektro hydraulic brakes would have worked just fine on this bike. This bike still has the original crank that came on it 4 years ago. I've serviced it twice since then. The bracket that's in the center here, or the bottom bracket, it's sealed bearings. It's just the old school. The chain ring is the original one. I just took the dork thing off of there. It's got the original cassette and chain. Other than that, this is like 99% back to department store Walmart. Like I said, it's got the original 9-speed. The only thing I upgraded was the pedals by Bucklows. Got those off of Amazon. At the time, they were $18.99. Now they're $22.99 because I bought the same ones for the other one, the Pro. And I upgraded to the M200 Shimano hydraulic disc brakes. Now, I'll get to this. This one's going to be kind of long, but hold on a second. All right. I am not looking forward to explaining this. Okay. So, okay. All right. Don't confuse me with the dude off of Woltic Nation. His beard is a lot better than mine, but I'm almost there, bro. Almost there. But, and I am recording this ghetto with the phone, but I don't care. It's just me. I don't have a camera crew. I don't have someone to operate it. But here we go. All right. Guys, this sucks. I don't want to explain this. Ugh. All right. Ready? All right. Well, hold on. It's like they want us to be liked by everybody or something. I don't know. Just strange. And it's just wrong. But, okay. All right. All right. So, these rims right here by DT Swiss. I know it's upside down, so shut up. But the wheels are called Seed 29, and I took the size that I needed off of the M2 Pro Ridge, because I wanted those rims on that bike, and my plan was to take those rims and put them on this bike. So it didn't work out that well. Because that frame over there is a through axle boost frame, and this frame here is a dropout. It's not a through axle. So I found these rims that came with these Maxxis Ardents 29 2.4 60 psi whatever, and they're tubeless ready. So basically that was what you saw. They came with a center bolt 180 millimeter rotor. They're through axle. So I got the pair and everything that came with it as a set for $249. Excuse me, Pepsi's catching up. Okay. So I wanted to use them on the M2 Pro, take the rims that came with the M2 Pro, which is Walmart, and put them on this bike, which would have brought the bike more original, because that's what came with this bike originally, like almost 4 years ago, or whatever the first year that the Ozark Trail Ridge was. And the first thing was, I had to figure out how the rear rim was going to fit to this, because it's a dropout, not a through axle frame. But they make inserts that go in, and you can convert, so to speak, the through axle and make it a skewer, which I did. But I didn't want to use these rims on this bike. Well, I went tubeless, and I took the Maxxis Recons that came with the M2 Pro, put them on these rims, because the hubs were the wrong size for that bike. So the front hub, which is sitting here, and why it's not on this bike, I'll get to that. But this didn't fit the air fork that came with the M2 Pro, because it was a boost hub. This isn't a boost hub. It was meant for the generation before. It's a smaller hub. So then I was like, okay, now I gotta figure that out. And then I bought the boost hub set for this, just the spacers. But then I noticed it affected the performance of the spin of the rim. Okay. I was gonna deal with it because it wasn't that bad. I had to figure out how I was gonna get my front caliper to spin with this hub or rotor, and just wasn't going down too well. But it was working. It just affected the spin of the rim. So I ended up finally getting it seated with the Maxxis Recon tires. Boom. Okay. Boom. And I had the sealant in it. I got it seated. And then it wasn't holding air. Ugh. So at the seam, it was releasing air, and it wouldn't hold air. So I had to find a different rim. Well, then I opened up Facebook one day, went on the marketplace. I was looking at some cars, and this popped up first. It's made by Stans. It says no tubes, and I think it's I think it's carbon fiber, but it's a crest, and it was the size I needed for this fork. And then it came with like this Shimano 180 millimeter rotor. And I got this for $75, and the guy was cool. He was like, I'll give you the tire too, which was this Maxxis Forecaster. Also, but it was only a 29 by 2.35. I didn't want a smaller tire on the front than the rear, so at some point I'll use that as my rear tire for this bike, since it's a used tire already. And such and such. But these tires here are extra that I got with that, with the original purchase. But there's nothing wrong with that rim, but I'll use it as a for a tube. If all that made sense, sorry if it didn't. I don't know. But yeah, I truly think if they were going to change the name from the Ozark Trail Ridge to the Ozark Trail Ridge M2 Pro or M2 and do no upgrades, I think they should have just did it like this. The Maxxis wheels with the rims that they usually send it with. They could have introduced the boost hub to the air fork to the line. It could have been a boost hub with the air fork. The new handlebar grips, these are a little bit thicker. They could have done, these are Shimano, but they could have done the Tektro hydraulic disc brakes on it, or even the manual brakes. You know, the upgraded bars, the shorter stem, but the crank, the chain ring, and even the Tektro rotors they could have used. And like I said, they could have just used the regular rims that they always use, the 9-speed. This is the, like I said, the original 9-speed cassette. But they could have just added like $100 more to the price and just gave it an upgrade instead of just changing the name and keeping it at the same price. But now this bike is 100% fully operative and ready to roll for another 4 years, I believe. Unless they come out with like a M.3 Pro Ridge, I don't know. But they have the full suspension, the FS Pro or whatever it is. Maybe that would be my next purchase. I just know there's the Ozark Trail Ridge Slom. That thing I was not impressed with. It looked like they went backwards in time with it. But yeah, originally I bought the bike for $398. I bought the Ozark Trail Ridge Pro for $598. Took the parts off of it, the forks, the tires, the grips, the bars, and the shorter stem. And then I also bought the rims for it, $249. So between the two bikes and stuff, I think I'm around $1,100, maybe $1,200. Oh yeah, and I also got the M2 Pro for $429, not $598. I didn't get it from Walmart, but I got it brand new. But yeah, this is what I think they should have done with it. If you're gonna change it from the Ozark Trail Ridge, what everybody was calling it, and then you switched it to the M2 or the Ozark Trail Ridge M2, and you didn't really do anything to it. You didn't do anything to it until you called it the Pro. So, but this is what they should have done with it. Updated the forks to air forks. 180 in the front, 180 in the rear. The Tektro, either hydraulic or the manual disc brakes. And they could have kept the rims that they always use because those hold up for a while. And it's not like they're unserviceable. And then the crank, chain ring, and the 9-speed cassette they could have kept on there too. And at some point they need to learn how to upgrade. They go from a $4.99 pedals to at least $20 pedals. It's annoying when they break when you're out having fun. But yeah, and then here's my artwork. I've been with a Sharpie. This one's probably one of my favorites. Just some of the stuff I've been in. I painted that orange. The valve stems that I bought were orange. Were supposed to go with the theme of the bike, and since these rims wouldn't have worked on the M2 Pro, they're on there. Kind of too late. So, but this one's like super little because I cut that one out of a tube, and then that one came with this rim. So, it's a perfectly functional, great riding bike, even though it kind of looks ghetto and it's dirty. But that's what it's meant for. It's doing its job. And plus it sits outside of my work for 8 hours for a couple days a week. So, but it's a tool to help me lose weight. But all right, let's go over to the other one. But yeah, before we go over to the Pro, these forks here are the same weight. The air forks that come with the M2 Pro are almost a pound less, just to let you guys know. All right, guys, now to the easy. All right, so I bought the Marzucci Z1 Bomber. They're 170 millimeter travel. I already mentioned that. The air forks that came with it are 120 millimeter travel. So it gave me quite the rake up on top. That's why I have bars on here that don't have very much of a riser on them. And then as you can see, it's the black frame Ozark Trail in like a pearl gray, I think it's gray, yeah. And then I bought, here's the stems I was telling you about. I bought to match the color that of the Ozark Trail logo that's on the other one, but they ended up on here with the Continentals. People call them Connies. They're the Crypt Total. They kind of went to this like prescription names. The Crypt Total, but I'm just gonna call them Crypt Total. Here's the diaphragm and what they could be used for. Look at the beefiness on these guys, and sorry about the tire sealant. I had a really hard time doing the 2.6, getting it to seed, so there was sealant just going everywhere. But I managed to get a lot of it off. But yeah, they're pretty beefy tires, and the front one's a 2.6. So the bars I mentioned, they were 100, but with the stem they come on like a $12,000 Trek bike. These ones here with the stem are like 400 and something. It's got the dropper seat post. Here's the rear Continental Crypt Total. These are the 2.4s in the rear. You can see I probably could have done the 2.6, but it would have been real close to here. It's not so much here. I know it would have fit, but I don't know. It would have came real close to here in this spot. It also has a 9-speed, and then it's got the new derailleurs on these are Shimano Qs, and it's got a clutch, pretty cool chrome chain, and then a new updated style crank with the updated center bracket or lower bracket, whatever you want to call it. And then here's the pedals I bought. They're the same as the other ones, but they did go up the price to $21.99. But yeah, my dream build here. And this one's also the smaller frame. I think I said I might have missed it. I've recorded this like 5 times. So but yeah, I think I mentioned that I was waiting for the crown race to come in, and then this one's ready to go. It's basically my dream build here. And I don't have to worry about someone jacking it, because I'll ride it on my days off or after work. So, and this one over here, my commuter. And then this one I also want to put some miles on it. I think if I really like the dropper seat post, I'll buy one for this. I think I'll get the bracket where I could put stuff on and haul. And then I'll get the bag where I could put stuff in the haul that fits the center here. And with the zipper and stuff, and maybe go on a fun. I just know the trail here in Colorado, you could go to other states. So I think that's gonna be a vacation dream trip, and something I could haul like a tent, sleeping bag, and kind of do some cross country stuff maybe, but also hit trails and have fun with it too at the same time, and also have a thing here in the front that could hold extra parts and tools and stuff like that, but also just go on a journey. But yeah, it's ready to go. And like I said, I feel like this is what they should have done with this bike. As calling it the M2 from what everyone was calling it, the Ozark Trail Ridge. But yeah, this is what they should have just done and added an extra $100 to it, instead of just changing the name to the Ridge M2 and doing absolutely nothing different from what it was. So, but yeah, here we go. Tubeless tires. It's ready to go. Ready for another 4 years, and I think I might hold the record of holding on to the crank that originally came with the bike, and the center bracket still holding up and does really well. Nothing much, but it's almost back. If I was able to use the rims that came with the Pro, it would have been basically 99.9% back to Walmart. The only thing different would have been this, the seat, and the pedals. And I think even the seat came from Walmart, maybe. But it's a dork seat. But it gives me comfort for longer distance rides, and yeah. But sound, it runs quiet. has no rattling, and it's doing really well. So there we go. If you watch this 35-minute video, my God, thank you. All right, peace out.